Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're journeying back to the Age of Heroes, to the dusty plains of Troy, to tell the story of a warrior queen whose name echoed with both fierce power and profound tragedy. Forget what you think you know about the Trojan War. We're about to meet one of its most formidable yet often overlooked figures, Penthesilea, Queen of the Amazons. Who were the Amazons? They weren't just a myth. They were a nation of warrior women, renowned for their equestrian skills and unmatched bravery. Hailing from the edge of the known world, they lived by their own rules, governed by their own queens. And among these legendary leaders, Penthesilea stands out. She wasn't just a queen. She was a daughter of Ares, the god of war himself, and the Amazon Otrera. War was in her blood. Courage was her birthright, and her spear was an extension of her very soul. But what brings a powerful queen and her army from their distant homeland to the decade-long stalemate at Troy? The answer is steeped in sorrow. According to one of the most prominent tellings of her tale, a terrible accident occurred during a royal hunt. Penthesilea, aiming her spear at a stag, tragically and unintentionally struck her own sister, Hippolyta. Consumed by a grief so deep it bordered on a death wish, she was haunted by the Furies, the goddesses of vengeance. In ancient Greece, such an act, even if accidental, brought a heavy stain upon one's soul. Penthesilea sought purification and an honorable death in battle to escape her torment. Where better to find such a glorious end than the greatest conflict of the age, the Trojan War? By this point, Troy's greatest champion, Hector, had fallen to Achilles. The city was desperate, its morale shattered. So, when Penthesilea and her 12 Amazon commanders arrived, their horses thundering across the plains, they were seen as nothing less than saviors. King Priam of Troy welcomed them with open arms and lavish gifts, pinning his last hopes on this formidable warrior queen. And for a time, that hope seemed well-founded. Penthesilea didn't just join the fight. She turned its tide. Bursting onto the battlefield like a storm, she was a whirlwind of bronze and fury. The Greeks, who had grown confident after Hector's demise, were stunned. They had never faced a force like her. She fought with a passion fueled by grief and a skill honed by a lifetime of training. Ancient poets describe her as Ares' equal, a warrior who cut through the Greek ranks like a lioness among sheep. She was a brilliant strategist and an inspiring leader, her presence on the field reigniting the Trojans' fighting spirit. The Greeks began to fall back, their lines breaking under the relentless assault of the Amazon queen. It seemed for a moment that Troy might actually be saved. For the Greeks, this was more than just a military setback. It was a psychological blow. To be pushed back by a woman, a barbarian queen from a mysterious land, was a deep insult to their warrior pride. The greatest Greek heroes on the field, like the mighty Ajax and the cunning Diomedes, struggled to contain her advance. She was more than just a match for them. She was overwhelming them. The battlefield belonged to Penthesilea, and her name became a curse on the lips of her enemies. Her desire for a glorious end was being fulfilled, but in her martial fury, she was also becoming Troy's greatest champion. With the Greek army in disarray, Penthesilea's ambitions soared. She had proven herself against their best. Now, only one challenge remained, one name that stood above all others: Achilles. He was the son of a goddess, the undisputed greatest warrior of the Achaeans, the man who had slain Hector. To defeat him would not only be the ultimate glorious death, but would also secure her name in eternity and save the city of Troy. It was a confrontation destined by the fates. She openly challenged him, her voice ringing across the battlefield, a queen calling out a demigod. When Achilles finally returned to the fray to answer her challenge, the entire war seemed to hold its breath. It was the clash of titans. On one side, Achilles, the perfect warrior, swift, strong, and seemingly invincible. On the other, Penthesilea, fueled by a goddess's rage and a queen's pride. The duel that followed was the stuff of legend. Spears shattered against shields, swords rang like thunder, and the earth itself seemed to tremble. Penthesilea fought with a ferocity that even Achilles had rarely seen. She matched his speed, his strength, his divine heritage with her own raw power and desperate courage. But Achilles was, after all, Achilles. In the final decisive moment of their epic duel, his spear found its mark. It pierced through her breastplate, and the warrior queen fell. Her quest for an honorable death was complete. But this is where the story takes its most famous and heartbreaking turn. As Achilles stood over his fallen foe, he reached down to remove her helmet, and as he did, he looked upon her face for the first time. He saw not just an enemy, but a woman of breathtaking beauty, her features now peaceful in death. In that instant, something inside the hardened warrior broke. He was struck not by a weapon, but by an overwhelming sense of grief and regret. He had just killed this magnificent creature, this embodiment of strength and beauty. He fell in love with her in the moment of her death, a love born of respect and tragic admiration. This sudden, profound sorrow enraged the other Greeks. A common soldier named Thersites, known for his mockery, jeered at Achilles, accusing him of weakness for mourning an enemy. In a fit of uncontrollable rage and grief, Achilles struck Thersites and killed him on the spot for defiling the queen's memory. This act caused a huge rift in the Greek camp. Killing a fellow Greek over the body of a Trojan ally was a grave offense. Diomedes, a cousin of Thersites, was furious and demanded that Penthesilea's body be treated with contempt. In some versions, he callously drags her corpse and throws it into the Scamander River to be washed away. But Achilles, protective of her even in death, retrieved her body from the water. He insisted that she be given a proper funeral. He, the greatest enemy of Troy, ensured that the queen who came to destroy his army was honored with a hero's pyre. The Trojans mourned her as they had mourned Hector, a savior who had given her life for their city. The story of Penthesilea and Achilles is one of the most poignant what-ifs of mythology. What if they had met under different circumstances? What if he had seen her face before that final, fatal blow? Theirs is a story of enemies connected by a strange, tragic destiny. It explores the brutal nature of war, where respect and admiration can be found even between the deadliest of foes. Penthesilea wasn't just a casualty of the Trojan War. She was a symbol of its immense personal cost. She sought death, but found immortality, not just as a warrior, but as the queen who captured the heart of her conqueror. Her legacy endures as a testament to the strength, courage, and complexity of women in a world dominated by male heroes. She was no damsel in distress. She was a force of nature who shaped her own destiny, even in death. She reminds us that behind the epic battles and grand strategies, war is made up of individual stories of honor, love, and devastating loss. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. The story of Penthesilea is a powerful one, and I hope it gave you a new perspective on the Trojan War. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss our next dive into history and myth. Let me know in the comments who you'd like to hear about next. Until then, stay curious.